Hello and welcome to our IP and IC Working in Concert series, where we're going to look at using IC as an advanced data management and visualization toolkit for your IP wells. I'm going to take the next few minutes to talk about interrogating your IP wells and visualizing those results on a map. All of our IC toolkits are accessed directly from within IP through the IC option under the Advanced Interpretation menu. The configuration dialog allows us to choose which wells, which curve sets, and which parameter sets we want to share with IC. Now in IC, our base map here shows us all of our wells and the associated well paths alongside our coastline layer. But for now, we're going to focus on building our map to help us visualize the spatial distribution of our data, to highlight wells that satisfy specific criteria directly on the map. To do this, we apply well queries. Queries are easy to build and can be saved for use throughout your database as a resource. These queries allow us to ask our database any number of questions. From the very basic, which wells contain my IP analysis? Which wells contain my reservoir? Which wells contain that geologically interpreted shoreface sand? And which wells have my porosity and permeability and my water saturation? Which of these wells actually sit within a specific license block or field outline? Once you have a set of queries created, you might want to use the folders to organize them. And trust me, once you have dozens and dozens of queries built, you will want to keep them controlled. The resultant well list from any of these queries can be exported and saved as a file, for example, your IP well lists. Now that we've seen what well queries can do, let's build our own. Let's look at what data is available for interrogation. To create a new query, we can come in and look at each of the components that we can use. If we ask the database to identify which wells have my calculated porosity, this will go back and search the database for any well that has the data logged or not logged. I can test that query and see I have all 12 wells have my porosity. I can go in and modify this, of course, to dig deeper and ask the database which wells have my porosity greater than 10%. And again, I can test that query and see I have 12 wells. Now, looking beyond just a well list, let's look at this on our map. Let's create a symbol which links directly to a dictionary for symbols that can be used throughout IC with standard plots available. Once we have that query created, we can select and add it to the map and see the results directly. So we can see all 12 of our wells are highlighted on our map, and our key panel is showing us the name of the query, the colour of the symbol, and the number of wells as a result. It's very easy from here to go back in and modify this again and dig even deeper into that data. So not only am I interested in the wells that have this particular value range of data, I want to know which wells have more than 10% porosity within my reservoir zone. So I can choose my zone of interest here from my data, choose my reservoir and apply this to my query. I can manually update the name of these queries and apply those results. Once I hit apply, you'll notice that Blue Cat 4 is no longer highlighted, and we only have 11 wells returning the specific criteria we searched for. There's no limit to how many queries can be added to a single map. Simply dragging and dropping a folder will add all queries within that folder, Individual queries can be added one at a time and build the list visible. These kind of queries that are stacked upon each other are really useful when you're looking at things like stratigraphy. You can have a search for any well that has every single unit in your stratigraphic scheme. From there, you can quickly identify where any unconformities might be and the distribution of those across your map. It's really easy to remove the queries, selecting one at a time and applying the changes to your map. We go back to seeing our 11 highlighted porosity within 10% within our EV. Another way that well queries can be used throughout IC, and specifically on a map here, is to filter the wells shown on the map. We can select a well query, for example, our porosity more than 10% within our reservoir, apply that and you'll notice the well list. We have our Blue Cat 4 is no longer ticked. Once we apply these changes, you'll notice Blue Cat 4 has disappeared. This does not mean that we've removed it from the database. This does not mean that it's no longer usable in other parts of the project. It just means for this specific map, that well is not needed, not wanted to be used as part of the analysis. This filtering is a great tool to use when you're talking about thousands of wells across a very densely drilled area and you want a specific subset of those wells to be displayed on your map. Instead of manually having to go through and untick and tick on wells, you can use a query and simplify that so quickly by applying that criteria to the selection of wells and applying it, and it saves so much time and so much effort that can be applied to other more important tasks. What we've gone through should have given you a taste of which information IC can search through. Digging through thousands of wells could take a long time without the right tools in place. Applying these queries in whatever detail you require to a map can highlight any host of information, including clusters of wells that reach specific criteria, or not, as the case may be across your entire study area. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, or even if you just want to be kept up to date with our latest news, please do get in touch with our team, or you can subscribe by following the link.